Have you ever stopped to think what makes a person successful and what doesn't? I don't know about you, but I've always been very intrigued with sequence. I've always been very intrigued with looking at what makes a person succeed. Not so much the actual celebration component of it, but actually what makes a person do something in an exceptional way. I have the privilege of working with many people all around the world, and I get to see these before and after pictures that are just so incredibly impressive, right? You see people that go from, being overweight, being obese, having sedentary lives, and then you see these before and after pictures, and it's almost like the before picture, you see their face and there's a lack of confidence, and it's sort of, they're almost like beat up and ashamed of being in front of the camera, and then you see this after picture, and it's just a whole different feeling in that person, right? You look at the picture, they have a big smile, they're confident, and you think to yourself, what's the difference? Like, what led that person to being successful? Like, what actually drove that person? And so today I want to talk about creating a belief system around being fit, because I truly believe that is the missing component for most programs. I see amazing programs out there. I see people that put together these amazing 6-week, 12-week, 6-month, year programs, and sometimes they don't have a lot of success with their clients. These coaches don't have a lot of success with their clients, and I constantly wonder, like, what makes the difference? Like, what is it that actually makes some coaches super successful, and they're helping people are losing weight, people are getting to their goal, and what doesn't? And I truly believe it has a lot to do with untapped potential. I believe as a Christian that we are made in the image of God, and therefore we come here with talents, blessings, and the ability to really live out a full life and live to our fullest potential. But the truth is, you don't see that a lot, right? You only see it once in a while. That's why we celebrate wins, because they're not something that happen too often. And so when we see someone win in some area of life, we get super excited because we see in them what we can actually do, right? And it becomes very empowering. When I was playing soccer, and I was in the amateur category. I was playing amateur soccer, but it was a high competitive amateur team, and there was that potential there to go and play pro. And I was doing good things. I was about 14 years old, and I was an amazing practice player, meaning I used to do so well and score goals, and I was just a superstar in practice. But then the game would come around and I would choke. This is a big concept inside of sports, in where when you are in front of the crowd, when you're in front of people, when you're performing, you basically choke and you stunt your potential. In other words, you can't do what you do at practice. And this was something that was really just getting me every single game. I would go to the games, I wouldn't score any goals, and my teammates would kind of look at me and be like, JT, at practice you're the superstar, and yet the game starts and hey, you're almost not even the same person. And I remember a friend, a teammate at that time, Ricardo. Ricardo came up to me one day, and I know he probably had the best intentions. He was a little frustrated with me. He looked at me in the face and he said, you're such a great practice player, but you suck at games. And I don't know why in that particular moment that hit me so hard, and I was almost offended by what he was saying. And I kid you not, the next ball that I got in that practice, I absolutely played the best game of my life. I went on to become an amazing player. I was scoring in that particular team, in that league, in every single game, and it was almost like a switch turned on. And so then the question is, did I just instantly become a better player? And I think the answer to that is no. Someone reminded me of the potential that I had. Someone brought out in me that belief system that I was able to do that. And with my clients, that's my primary job. Yes, we talk about dynamics. We talk about eat this, don't eat that. And we coach them through all this nutrition principles that are super important. But more importantly is reminding people of what they're capable of, and creating a fit belief system that will allow them to actually grab these dynamics, these instructions on nutrition, these very basic things that everyone knows. Don't eat this, don't eat that, that sort of thing, and then lifting up their belief system, because until I do that as a coach, I will not see my clients succeed, or maybe they'll succeed for a little while, but they won't be able to sustain the results. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves inside of the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan is sustainability. And so the number one thing, if you're watching this, the number one thing you need to do if you have struggled with nutrition, if you are a yo-yo dieter, if you have lost a ton of weight and gained it right back, which seems to be most people's story inside of this weight loss game, then I would just say that your belief systems have not been tapped into. So you have to tap into that belief system so you can elevate your thoughts. And so then the question becomes, well, okay, that all sounds great, but how do I do that? How do I actually enhance my belief systems so that they can support me in the things that I'm looking to do? And I'm glad you asked that, because it's an important question. I truly believe that we reenact what we see, right? Whatever it is we see, we reenact. In other words, if you are getting up in the morning, you're rushing to work, you're eating the first thing that comes in front of you, and you put your head down, you go to work, and next thing you know, a couple, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours have gone by, you haven't had anything to eat. Of course, your next meal, you're gonna be starving, and you're just gonna devour whatever's in front of you. And then, of course, you get home and you're upset because you did the thing you said you weren't gonna do. And then you just continue to reenact the thing that you see every day. You see yourself eating unhealthy, then you just feel like an unhealthy person, and you identify as an unfit person, and therefore, right, we become what we focus on. You continue to focus on that thing, and it's like a perpetual cycle that these things just continue to come about in your life, and you can't free yourself from these things, and you wonder why, right? You're stuck in this perpetual cycle of yo-yo dieting. Some days you do okay, most days you don't, and you're just frustrated. And so we become what we do. We need to do more of what we want to be, right? So it makes a lot of sense. James Clear in his book Atomic Habits talks a lot about this, and this is something I bring up often because I think it's so empowering to understand that for every action we take, we cast the vote in the direction of the type of person that we would like to be. I'm going to run the risk here of being annoying, but I'm going to repeat that. For every action we take, we cast a vote in the direction of the type of person that we would like to be. I love this quote because what this says is that we don't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to work perfect. You don't have to be a healthy eater every single meal, every single time. But it does say that if you're casting more votes in the direction of being a healthy person, if you're making healthier choices 80% of the time, and then maybe 20% of the time you're sort of falling short, then that 80% is always going to outdo the things that you're not doing well. I love this because this talks about progression and not perfection. And so in order for you to truly embrace a fitness and nutrition lifestyle in a sustainable way, the first thing that needs to happen is you need to create a fit belief system. Now, this is not just saying there's no weeds, because the weeds will take your garden, right? This is more about thinking where you want to be, right? So number one, we want to think of who and how you want to show up. Who is that person? What does that persona look like, right? If you don't have an idea of what that persona looks like, you're never going to reenact that persona. Actors, right? There's a method called the method, and it's for actors. And what they do is they personify that character that they're looking to, portray inside of a specific movie. So what we do is we basically think of, who do I want to become? How do I want to show up? And then number two, of course, you take those thoughts out of your mind and you materialize that on a piece of paper. You write it out in detail. Why is this important, right? Why is it important to write things out, not just leave it in your mind? I truly believe that when you think of things, it's fleeting, right? You think of it then, and it's kind of gone, right? And it doesn't come back until something happens and something triggers you and makes you think of that particular situation. But when you actually go out of your way to write things out, right, a very important thing happens. It goes from your brain onto paper, and now you're actually taking the time to write these things out, and this is becoming more something that is in your forefront. And so you write it out, and you write it out in detail. This is what I want to look like. I want to wake up every day. I want to exercise for a minimum of 30 minutes. I want to make sure I meal prep. I want to make sure that when I go to restaurants, I'm not eating the bread. I want to make sure I'm not, looking at the dessert menu. I want to make sure that every single time that the waiter comes by and says, would you like to drink something? I'm not getting any soft drinks. I'm simply getting water. And I'm making more decisions like this. And it's little compounding decisions like this that actually make a huge difference. So we want to write all those details out. Number three, if we simply write it out, right, but we never look at it again, guess what? We never reinforce that idea. And so what we need to do is we actually need to write these things out, right? And then we need to speak them out. Number three is speak them out every single day. You want to take that piece of paper, you want to just read it out loud, right? And you don't want to make it too long because you want to make it something easy and accessible. And so what you do is you write these things out and then you read them. Number 3, you read these things out every day out loud, right? As if you were speaking to yourself. You're reinforcing that idea in you that you're a fit person, that you make fit choices, right? Number 4, you can't just think about this and write this out. You actually have to reinforce that idea with being that persona more and more and more. As I mentioned before, 80% of your actions are positive and only 20% you're sort of falling short from that persona. That 80% will always take over, and sooner than later you will become that fit persona. You will have that fit belief system that will support you in all these other dynamics. The dynamics are easy. The belief system is where I believe we have to do the work, and when we do that, we see amazing results. Guys, my name is JT Tapias and I'm a professional fitness life coach, and this is what I love speaking about, things that edify the mind, the body, and the spirit. I'm a nutrition coach, but I love speaking about the mindset, the mental aspect and the mental game of actually sustaining a healthy lifestyle, because I truly believe that that is what makes the difference beyond anything else. Fad diets are out there, keto, Atkins, South Beach, macro counting, calorie counting, all these concepts are out there. And most of you guys know these concepts. Most of you guys have tried these concepts. And then the question is, why haven't I succeeded? Well, you haven't succeeded because you haven't created a fit belief system. And that's exactly what this video is about. And so I hope you've gotten something out of it. I just want to recap here because I think it's so important that we not just listen to these videos, but we actually take action on them. So number 1, think how you want to show up, right? You want to think of that particular persona. Number 2, you want to write it out on a piece of paper. Number 3, you want to read it out loud every day. And number 4, you want to reinforce that idea by being that persona every single day. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. Hit that like button because we want to send this out to as many people as possible. And if you enjoyed this video, you're absolutely going to love this video here. My name is JT Tapias with the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.